Okay, so mindset. I will just tell you, 23.3 seconds left, 1-point game. A lot of things could happen. Okay, this is where you're going to want to think about personalities, who does what. But you've got almost a full shot clock possession here. So you don't have to be as much in the mindset of trying to know what could happen as much as you are just thinking. So I had somebody ask me at camp like 2 weeks ago, said, when you're at the end of the game and you're super nervous, well, they said, do you still get nervous? And of course I get nervous. Tim Higgins worked like 10 Final Fours, worked 150 games in the Madison Square Garden, and he told me, I asked him one time because I was about to pee in my pants, and I said, Higgs, do you ever still get nervous when you're working here in the Big East tournament? He said, when I stop having butterflies, I'll quit. So, of course you're going to be nervous, but there's a difference in having a nervous energy and being excited and ready to referee a play at the end of the game that could make a big difference in the game. So, in this play, or back to the stories, I self-talk. I'm a big self-talk person. I self-talk most of the time in two situations. At the end of every game, once I know what's going to happen in the situation, I say to myself, referee the defense, call the obvious. Referee the defense, call the obvious. That's what I literally say it to myself. You probably see sometimes I'll take the whistle out of my mouth and I'll say, referee the defense, call the obvious. Because at the end of the game, I don't want anything marginal, and I don't want anything where I'm surprised by a defender so I'm not refereeing the right guy or I'm picking the play up late, because that's when I miss plays. So I know I've got to referee the defense and stay off of marginal contact. Okay? So if you're in the end of a game and you're thinking, oh, God, please, is this play going to come to me or not? Don't worry about whether it's going to come to you or not. Apply the fundamentals you've learned and pray that the play call comes to you. You know, I want the play to come to me because I feel like if I can put myself in the right position, call an obvious foul, have a good look at the defense, I'm going to get the play right. So there's nothing wrong with self-talk. You're not crazy. People say you're talking to yourself. You're crazy. It's not. I self-talk all the time. The other time I self-talk and I tell myself the same thing is after I've missed a play. So that whole what are you doing the 5 minutes after you missed a play, I'll tell you exactly what I do. I never look at the Jumbotron, block everything out, and I move to the next play. It's done. I can't fix it. It's over. No reversing it. Okay? So for me, when we're sitting there shooting free throws, and I know I've just called the worst phantom foul in the world, I'm thinking when I go to that end, my next whistle, I'm going to be 100% sure. There's 2 times in the game when I have to see somebody basically get impaled to call a foul. First whistle of the game. I think first whistle of the game for me is the most important because it establishes my credibility with my coaches and my partners. I want my first whistle to always be right. You'll never see my first whistle be a travel or some garbage off the ball that nobody sees. I want everybody, when I blow the whistle for the first time in the game, to look and go, damn, that's foul. Or, holy cow, he picked the ball up and ran with it. You know, I'm just not going to have a marginal first whistle. The other time I'm never going to have a marginal whistle is after I missed a play. Because you miss 1, it's already in your head. You miss 2, never get back. So I want my second whistle after I missed a play to be 100%. You coming up here to get me, Ed? Oh, right here.
So, self-talk. You say to self, first call, quality call. How about that?
Yep.
Go out there, first call, quality call. And know what quality call looks like.
All right, so let's see what happens on this play. And honestly, I can't even 100% remember. Rob picked our plays out. So now we've got 2-point game. All right, okay, stop. So now we're back to 3-point game, 23 seconds. This situation's a little different than 6.6 seconds because we got a little ramp. They got a little time. They can go to the rack, get a basket, foul on the inbounds, prolong the game. So I'm not focused as much on has to be a 3-point shot or no smart team's taking a foul with 23.3. So my thought process changes. Now my thought process is quality call. For me, it's referee the defense, call the obvious. Referee the defense, call the obvious. Let's let it run. Oh, I remember this now. Hold it. Tough decision, okay? But once we decide we're not going to call a foul on this play, where do we immediately have to go to, and what do we have to referee? Rebounding, which to me, rebounding is very different. Out-of-bounds plays and rebounding plays are way harder than me than shooting fouls. So we've no-called the first play, and again, don't want to argue the merits of the foul. Defender legal, moving forward, not legal, offense initiating contact. I will just tell you, my personal opinion is that when a guy closes from inside the three-point line to outside the three-point line, the chances of him getting legal again before contact are minimal. You watch a million plays of guys closing out on shooters. If they are not coming to 2 feet first and then jumping up, they're usually going forward. And if they meet in the middle, the tie goes to the offense. Offense and defense meet in the middle of the three-point line. It's a defensive foul. I'm not like the smartest guy in the world. I was a B student in high school, and I went to a JUCO on an athletic scholarship, and then had to go to the Air Force to finish paying for college because I didn't have a ride and I didn't have any academic money. So for me, I have to break things down and really, really simplify them. And for me, simplification is this guy's closing out on the shooter pretty quick. The chances of him coming to a dead stop and going vertical before they meet in the middle and being legal, not very good. So I try to take, before the play even happens, I try to take the thought process out, use some play recall of when they meet in the middle, it's a defensive foul. All right, so let's let it go. Now we're refereeing rebounding. People jumping everywhere, all kinds of stuff going on, typical. Just let it play. Stop. Now we're down to 5 seconds left, three-point game. What's got to happen? The problem here is toughest place for us to referee are off rebounds. We don't have defensive sets. There's defenders coming from all over the place. Let me ask you a question. What should all three guys be refereeing at this point in time in the game? Work with me. Okay, so we're going to talk about this again at in the Final Four play, but I'm going to give you 3 things, maybe 4. You all tell me what's the most important in an end-of-game situation. The three-point line? Let me preference. In games with monitors, what's the most important thing? The three-point line, the clock, or foul? You can review the other 2. Who cares? I'll figure out if it's a 2 or a 3. I'll figure out if I need to reset the clock. I can't review fouls on shooters unless it's flagrant. It's not going to be flagrant. Okay? So all 3 guys should have eyes on the ball. If we have a foul here, this is all bets off. Somebody's got to get it if it's 100% non-marginal contact foul. Okay, play. Tough play. Tough play because your defender's coming from behind. Usually, where's the defender we're refereeing? He's in front of the offense because they're trying to stay between the offense and the basket. Again, scramble play, difficult play. Okay? My point being, I don't want to argue it's foul or not. My point being, on this play, all 3 guys, eyes on ball. Forget the three-point line. We'll review it. Forget the clock. We'll figure it out. Can't miss a foul. Okay? So have that in your mind. And I talk to my crews, and when I'm not the crew chief, I'll bring it up in a respectful manner to the crew chief. In game situations when we have late inbounds, I'll say, hey, can't miss a foul. We can fix everything else. Can't miss a foul. Okay? Let's go to the let's go to the first look. That one, yeah. No, top one. Okay. So let's just back up right here. First, to preface, to get the elephant out of the room, we don't know we've missed the double dribble. Okay? Of course, everybody in the world knows now. I know now. So did Doug and so did Keith. It is what it is. But at 62 to 61.5, on what I think is a pretty strange play, we don't know we've missed that double dribble. So forget that. Went over this one other time. Somebody was like, well, does it come into your thought process that you might have missed the double dribble? Well, that's back to Ed telling me I can't play God. Doesn't matter if I missed it or not, even if I know it. Okay? So can't manipulate the situation, can't play God. We're going to referee this play on face value, not to mention the fact we don't know at the time. So at this timeout, I will tell you, because Doug's an exceptional referee, Keith's exceptional referee, we've had this conversation. The conversation was, hey, Virginia doesn't throw the ball to the low post. They don't have a low post scorer. Virginia has 3 guys that are going to go in the first or second round of the NBA draft. One of those 3 guys is catching the ball. It's going to be a Hunter guy or Jerome. So we've already kind of narrowed what we know we've got to focus on. Doesn't mean we're not going to referee the other guys, but we know where the ball's probably going to go. It's a sideline inbounds from the 28-foot mark. Okay? They're probably not going to throw the ball to the opposite side of the court, 45 feet across, with a bunch of big, long, tall, athletic guys from Auburn waiting to cut the lane and steal the ball. So we've really, and this is where I say I try to simplify things. I can almost cut the court in half, and I can almost say I got a 60% chance of knowing who's going to get the ball. They walk out, Jerome's throwing the ball in bounds. I'm now pretty sure that one of 2 guys, Hunter or Guy, are going to get the ball. We've had the conversation of probably going to go to Guy, Hunter, or Jerome. We got 1.5 seconds left. Trail's going to make sure the clock starts, and after that, our single focus as a crew is to be in the best position we possibly can to not miss a foul. Don't worry about the clock. We'll fix it. Who cares about the three-point line? We'll review it. We cannot miss a foul. Okay? So you can let it run. I'm going to tell you to stop it before he throws it in, so stop right there. Somebody from the NCAA said, that's not where you're supposed to me. That's not where you're supposed to be on this play. You're way too wide. Why are you that wide? Well, I'm that wide because a whole lot of games in the WNBA and the NBA system told me I can referee more players with wider angle. If I close down to that lane line, I ain't got a real great shot if somebody comes to the three-point line. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you, this play on face value is not hard. The play itself, when you see it, is not a difficult play. Knowing what to look for and where to be to look for it from a whole bunch of game watching and tape watching and really good instruction from people who are better officials than me makes the play easy. Okay? But I'm wide because I want to see as many people as I can, and I know that the guys catching the ball, especially if it's Kyle Guy, 6 seconds earlier, he's hit a shot in the exact opposite corner with somebody standing right in his face. So I want a wider angle, and I want to be able to cover him if he cuts to the corner. All right, let it play. Stop. So just as we talked about at the timeout, Hunter goes to the top of the key, Guy goes to the corner. One of those 2 guys is going to catch the ball because it's where they've caught the ball for 2 years in this entire game and scored 80% of Virginia's points. So a little thought in the timeout had really helped the crew. All right? You let it play now. All right. Now go to the other clip, and we'll stop it right there. So the hard part of this play happened before the ball ever got inbounded. And it was just knowing the game situation. And I'll tell you, I'm standing on the baseline, and I'm saying to myself, referee the defense, call the obvious. Because I'm not going to take a marginal contact play. I don't care about anything I can review at the monitor. I want a legal contact. Okay? So from the fundamental parts of the play, what we talked about, I actually covered this in advance, is where does the defender start? Where does the defender land? Does contact affect the shot? Is that my phone, Shelly? Well, just throw my backpack out that door or something. Yeah. The presenter is in trouble. I apologize, guys. I thought it was off. Okay, so hit play. Stop. He leaves from 2 feet inside the three-point line. As a vertical defender, he doesn't have to land inch for inch in the same spot, but he can't be going forward. Let it play. He lands 2 feet outside the three-point line. So to me, again, walking through this, don't anticipate what's going to happen, call what happens. So here's the situation. Now we'll talk a little more play calling. He leaves from outside the three-point line. He jumps forward, is going to land outside the three-point line. The only way he can become legal again is to land before contact. Okay? So let it play. From that angle, it's really, really close. Does he get under him? Does he affect his shot? Let it keep playing. Okay. So now the decision is that marginal contact? I will tell you, I've got several hundred emails that say it's marginal contact. I've got some nice handwritten letters that say it's not marginal contact. To me, he's an airborne shooter who's not allowed to land, and the defender's not legal, it's foul. I don't think the play is hard on face value. I think the moment is big, but at the same time, if you knew what was going to happen, you know where to look. The play itself is not a difficult play. So that was kind of the wrap of what I was talking about with the whole mental processing. So much of refereeing and being able to make the split-second decisions that we started talking about in the beginning, and that why this game is so difficult, make it easier on yourself. And you make it easier on yourself by being mentally prepared for what you're going to do, watching plays and having play recall, understanding you're going to make mistakes, having in your mind a self-talk plan to reset when you do make a mistake, and then be better in the next 5 minutes. I promise everybody's going to miss a play in your game today. I promise every game I've watched of mine, there's missed plays. They might be no calls incorrect. I still believe errors of omission are better than commission. I'm not sure. I'm not blowing the whistle. But if I see something in my primary, I'm going to be very strong in my primary. If I see something in my secondary, it better be a bludgeoning. Discussion. Oh, hold on.
And in this case, you all had a timeout to discuss, and you said you discussed who could get the ball. Are you also discussing kind of coverage, like the ball's being taken out at the 28-foot line?
Yep.
By trail, so lead help on that play because I'm gonna have the inbounder and the defender up. Is that part of the discussion as well?
Absolutely. So again, we've got so little time left. And I forgot this, there's no option for a dribble drive. This is a catch and shoot play, okay? So that kind of takes out the whole, do I need to get a restricted area look? Keith's going to have Hunter going to the top of the key. I'm going to have Guy in the corner, and if they happen to throw the ball to the low post, which they haven't done in 2 years, I'll figure it out, okay? But the play itself, the coverage of it, half the court, 4 guys out there, 2 of them usually don't score, is let's know what we're doing, where to go, okay? There was something else I was going to say on that. I forgot what it was. But
So just reinforcing a point, because this is like a perfect example. Yesterday I mentioned the only 2 things that matter in the past are experience and pattern recognition. What is this? Both, right? It's both. It's experience, especially with these teams, but it's also a simple matter of pattern recognition. So the reason he's standing exactly where he's standing, which by the way is brilliant, and I never thought of that actually, is simply because of experience and pattern recognition. And part of your training, watching this for the last 20 minutes and going over it, is just to accelerate your pattern recognition, right? Because now with 1.2 seconds left in the next game that you have, it's catch and shoot. Hey, you know what? I might be actually out here, and that's what we're talking about. You see how that works in real life? It's pretty awesome. Thank you, James, by the way.
And you could change the
call of the
situation.
year.
If we've got to throw in a .2, where do we got to be looking? Pretty hard to tip from the three-point line. I'm going to focus my attention on a tip opportunity closer to the basket. I guess if there's one thing I would hope you'd take from this is you don't become a really good play caller by reacting to the plays when they happen. You become a really good play caller by being prepared for what situations in the play present and having seen play repetition, studied videotape over and over to know where to be and how to make the best decision and to be disciplined enough to lay off marginal contact and call 100% certain fouls. I don't call as many fouls in games, on average, I mean, we have terrible games in the Big East that are a lot of fouls. But on average, I probably call less fouls because I believe that if we can lay off marginal contact and get the 100%ers, we have a better chance of 3 really good things happening. Coaches just coach. Players just play. Referees just referee. When we all 3 stay in our lanes, games are pretty good. When referees, decide that they're going to take marginal plays, what do coaches do? They start deciding they need to referee. And what do players do? They start complaining. And what do fans do? Then they're irrational and they're getting in your head. And there's so much to refereeing basketball that is mental. Being able to ignore the jumbotron. Being able to respond to a coach when you know you've missed a play. Say, Coach, you know what? Absolutely right. I know I missed it. Got to move on. I'll get the next ones. Okay? There's so much. I mean, Ed could talk. I've seen him talk over about one play for hours, and it's all because of the mental aspect and the preparation of it. So I'd questions. I'd love questions. Ed, Mike.
Oh, it's just more an observation that.
Yep.
So if you were in the spot the NCAA wanted you to be, you probably don't make that play. You don't make that call. If you were closer to the
Closed down.
you probably aren't able to make that call.
If I'm closed down, I have no look between those players and at the front of the offense. I will tell you, remember that everything the NCAA puts out is a guideline. There is no magic spot, especially at the end of games. But even throughout the game, just because they tell you to start out free throw line extended, 28-foot mark, 3-foot posted up mark, that changes instantly. Instantly. The minute the ball crosses half court. Okay? So when you're reading the NCAA manual, okay, and it tells you this is where you're supposed to be, it's where you're supposed to start. But then those 10, 6'9" guys running 4.3 40s are going to dictate, I promise you can't stay there and referee. So I think the whole premise of I've got to look busy and fake hustle is garbage, but purposeful movement to get you into a better spot to referee the defense will make you a better play caller. So answer your question, if I'd have been closed down, I got a terrible look, I won't blow the whistle because I wouldn't have been able to see it. I wouldn't have blown. But I would have never been closed down because that's not what the play dictated was the best position for me to be in. Mike. Oh, thank you.
Just in my head, I'm looking at the play. Did this kind of take you back to the Taco Zion play, more or less? Almost same type of time, same type of foul. It's not in the paint, but like just the same occurrence happening.
Yeah, they're a little different. I mean, Taco's stationary and not very athletic, and this is more of a defender A to B play. Starts at A, ends in B, makes illegal contact. Taco just doesn't get off the ground in the RA and never really gets 2 feet facing.
Okay.
But they're both, and again, my opinion, they're both fouls. But the judgment part of this is the final piece, and I can't teach you that. Ed can't teach you that. Okay, feel and judgment you can improve, but in the end, when the play presents itself, if you've given yourself all of the tools to make good decisions, you've got 1,000% chance better of having good judgment, but that comes from some training, and in the end, we can't just say, hey, here's good judgment, use it. Okay? There is an art to refereeing basketball. Okay? Not every play is the same. Not every situation is the same. Not every personality is the same. I deal with coaches totally different depending on who they are, what my relationship is with them. There's some coaches I say absolutely nothing to. There are some coaches I've got like 3 phrases that I'll ever say to them. Coach, I understand what you're saying. Coach, I hear you. Coach, you made your point. There are other coaches that are very conversational, and I will have a much less short professional relationship in turn. But I treat them all fairly. Okay? I hate to keep referencing his name, but John Guthrie told us all a long time ago, I'm going to treat you all fairly, not equally. The translation was Gerald and Andre were going to get their games on August the 20th, and they were going to have a lot of games at Georgia because Andre worked and lived in Atlanta, and Gerald was going to have a lot of games at LSU because he worked and lived in Lafayette, and I was going to be going to San Antonio, Texas for a D3 game for $125 from Louisville, Kentucky. He thought that was fair based on my level of experience and where those guys was. We weren't treated equally, but we were treated fairly. And that's the same principle with coaches. I'm going to treat them all equally. I'm going to treat them all fairly, but not necessarily equal. You got a mic?
You mentioned at the end, a lot of this is preparation and mental toughness. What are some training practices that you use to prepare for this this kind of play on the mental toughness aspect of it?
I read a lot. Now it's even easier. If you're driving in the car 4.5 hours to go make $75 at a JUCO game, there's podcasts. There's great teachers out there, not even sports related. And I'm happy to share some with you, afterwards if you want. But if you're not continuing to educate and better yourself, you're always going to stay the same. Ed and I were talking, you don't have to be sick to get better. You can be perfectly fine and get better. I want to keep getting better, okay? So I think that not even just basketball, but if you can improve life skills, if you can improve the way your mentality is and how you treat people, the way you deal with adversity, it will translate to what you do on the basketball court. That's the non-basketball side of it. A lot of reading, a lot of education, learning from people who are smarter than me. On the basketball side of it, I'm telling you, I'm a sponge and a geek, and I'll admit it. I want to see people's plays. I loved it when Chris was talking about plays. I love the discussion on the continuation. I'll give you a great example. I'm watching an NBA game. Zach Zarba's a good friend of mine. Zach's got almost this exact same play at the end of a game. And Zach's at trail. And instead of being on the half-court side of the inbounder, Zach switches and goes inside the inbounder. And I'm like, what happened to the wide triangle? Why are we not keeping all the players between us? We've done that for 20 years. So after the game, I call him. I was like, Zach, I got to ask you about something. He's like, what's up? And I was like, why'd you go inside the three-point shoot or the inbounder at the 28-foot mark? And he was like, there's only 0.8 seconds left. Why the hell do I care if somebody steals the ball and goes to the other end? The clock's going to run out before they get to the top of the key. Inside the three-pointer, inside the 28-foot mark, he could see this play in the three-point line and help in the corner. He's got a better look at the top of the key. And I'm thinking, well, why doesn't everybody do that with less than a second left on a front court inbounds? It made the most sense in the world. So I ask questions. You're never going to be the smartest guy in the room. And when you think you are, nobody's going to like you anyway. So always, always learn from better people. When Ed asked me, since it's in Indianapolis and driving distance, actually Rob said, hey, would you come up? I didn't come up because I thought I had some great knowledge to give. I came up because I want to be around Ed and see what he's teaching. I want to be better next year than I am this year, and he can help me do that. So, don't be scared to ask questions in the right time, in the right circumstance, to the right people. Don't call me and ask me why we missed the double dribble. Hell, I don't know. If I did, I'd call it. That's just a self-serving question. But if you do, get an opportunity to sit with people who are better, the NBA guys are awesome. I know people bang on the NBA sometimes, but they're awesome. Their training's better. They discuss plays. They look at more video. They do a great job. I call Goebel and Zach and Tiven and those guys all the time. Try to figure out what they're doing is better than me.
Okay.
Oh, you got one more? Oh.
So if you're the trail on this play, would you consider going underneath on the inbound?
Yeah, I wish I'd have thought of it and told Doug to, because he's got no look. He's got the back of the Auburn kid. I've looked at the play obviously 600 times in my sleep, sometimes my nightmares. And Doug has this view right here, close look. Doug doesn't know if this contact on his right leg and hip is substantial enough to take a foul or if it's marginal contact. But that's just an example of, I think you asked the question, no magic spot. Thinking through, where can I be? Where can I see the play better? So, I think that, if you can just mentally prepare yourself, put yourself in the right position, you got a much greater chance of success. I think the last thing, Ed, to give me one more minute. The other thing that I always try to tell people is enjoy the experience and the ride of what you're doing. I don't think we talk about that enough because my best friends are NBA guys, college guys, but I look around, I'm like, I got a few friends from church, not really many at work because it's a work relationship, but my friends are my fellow officials. And you may never get above the high school level, but be the best high school official you can be and be the best partner you can be. One thing I've learned over the years, and for a solid month after this happened, was that you're only friends when you make a controversial call that impacts a lot of people are your brothers in the striped shirts or the gray shirts. So treat each other with respect, help each other climb the ladder instead of stepping on each other, and build the relationships and friendships you can in camp situations, in game situations, and enjoy the ride. You're going to keep those friends and relationships forever. I was with Joe DeRosa last weekend, and we were talking about that, and his best friends are still officials. So regardless of the level you're working, enjoy what you're doing. Be the best partner you can be. Know that the other two guys out there with you, they're really your only friends. Make them your friends for life, and do the best you can to be the best person, the best referee you can be, and this will be a really rewarding vocation for you at some point in time, no matter what level you work.
Fantastic stuff. Right? That's it. Good job. All right. High value to all that. Good news is that, James is not going to run back to Louisville. He's going to do some games with you guys.
2 days.
Yeah.
Here through
I mean,
Friday.
how about that? I mean, that's pretty powerful. So we really appreciate tremendous. I need to get a,